Hi guys, Abs here and welcome to this video. So in this video I'm going to be giving you some best practices. I've already created a video, but there was a couple of things I actually forgot to mention. So please do watch that video because that video is also very important. But a few things that I wanted to bring up in this video that I forgot to mention in the previous video was how to work with some additional areas. So let me take you over to my VPS, guys. I think that's going to be the best area where I can show you because I have everything set up on my VPS where I have this working. So as you can see from here, guys, with my proxies, I have, you know what, I don't know why this proxy is in there. Okay, let me just update this real quick. Okay, but as you can see from my proxies down here, guys, I've got hundreds of proxies in here. I've probably got about 100 proxies in here. And these are all reverse proxies. So we've got one of the really large proxy packages, reverse proxies. And each one of these proxies, I believe every 2 minutes or every 5 minutes, has a new IP automatically assigned to it in the background. Okay, now the advantage of this, guys, is that we have access to, from these 100 proxies, every 5 minutes, we're getting another 100 proxies. Every 5 minutes, we're getting another 100 proxies. Okay, so with yourself, if you had, let's just say, for example, one of these reverse proxies, every 5 minutes you'll be having a new proxy, guys, which means, you know, I don't know however many that works out in a day, but that's the rotating pattern for these reverse proxies. Now, because they're reverse proxies and because they're not dedicated proxies and because they're always going to be changing in the background, it means that it's not worth your while working with capture, to capture. To capture itself, when you're working with like these kind of captures that Google shows you, takes about 1 minute to actually solve. Okay, and sometimes what might happen is your proxy might have already changed the IP, or your port might have already changed the proxy that you're working with before that is even sent back to us, guys. Okay, and at the same time, I believe to capture needs authorized IPs or their server to be authorized for when they're sending it over, guys. So it's not a good idea to solve captures when you're working with reverse proxies. Now, of course, if you're working with dedicated proxies are going to be proxies that are going to remain the same all the time. Something that we don't recommend working with when you're working with something like the CTR booster, because the idea about the CTR booster, guys, is that it looks like there's hundreds and you know, all these visits that you're doing, even though you might not be doing hundreds and thousands. Let's just say you're doing 10s or 15s visits per week. These 10s or 15 users that are coming to your website are unique users from around wherever your proxies are located. So let's say USA, they're from the USA and they're users that are coming to your website and they're new users. Whereas if you're having the same IP all the time, it looks like the users coming back. So you might actually want that, guys. You might want to mix and match the proxies. You might want some dedicated proxies in here and you might also want some reverse proxies in here as well. Now the software isn't smart enough to recognize if this is a reverse proxy or if it's a dedicated proxy. So it's going to be down to you guys to make the decision on whether you want to solve captures or you don't. So a lot of the times, I'm going to be totally honest with you, a lot of the times the reverse proxies, this going to try and go to Google and a capture is going to be shown. And what we've done with the software, guys, is if you don't add your capture details inside of here, then the software, if prompted when it opens a browser, if prompted by Google Capture, it will close down the browser. It will then reopen again and try again, guys. And the reason we've coded it like this is because of the understanding of how reverse proxies works. So this is actually tailored to work, or this is actually fine-tuned to work with reverse proxies, but also it will work with dedicated proxies as well without an issue. The only difference that you need to keep in mind, guys, is if you are working with reverse proxies, then it's probably not going to be worth your while, or you know what, 100% it's not going to be worth your while to solve the captures, guys, because it's going to take slow for the captures to get solved. You're not going to have access to that proxy for a long time, and it's just going to eat your capture credits. Okay, if you're working with dedicated proxies, then yes, you will need to work with captures, but again, as mentioned, you probably don't want to work with dedicated proxies. Now, if you're working with public proxies, that's totally fine as well, guys, as long as they're Google safe. I mean, they work with Google or they work with Yahoo and Bing. It really depends on what you're working with and what project you're working with, or maybe you're working just with direct visits and you want to do that behind it, or maybe they want to work with YouTube. You know, it's entirely up to you. I don't know. But what I want to do is just make you aware that when you're working with reverse proxies, you don't want to solve the captures, guys. And that's the main thing that you need to take away from this here. Okay, the second thing that I want to bring to your attention is Google Maps, guys. So let's have a look at Google Maps, for example. So as you can see, I've got this one keyword down here, Chinese halal restaurant, Leicester. Okay, now if I type this into Google from my server, okay, you know what? If I type this in, guys, okay, I'm not going to type it into Google because I'm going to have to open up all these browsers and everything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is instead I'm going to explain. So I've typed in Chinese halal restaurant Leicester. Okay, now from my location, this is going to show Google Maps. In fact, you know what? We'll go onto my computer and we'll show it here. Okay, so as you can see, this is the maps here that are being shown. Sometimes what will happen, guys, is let's just say, for example, you had a proxy that was located in, I don't know, Saudi Arabia. Now, the proxy that's located in Saudi Arabia, when doing a search for this keyword here, it might not show the Google Maps. Now, when you're working with Google Maps, it's very important that your keyword prompts Google to show the maps. If it doesn't show the maps, then it's not going to be able to work, guys. Okay, so this is why we have this retry section down here, guys, because sometimes what we noticed when our beta testers and when some of our users were actually working with this is that you know, 5 times out of 10 the keywords would some of the keywords would prompt the map results, and sometimes they wouldn't, guys. Okay, so they wanted to keep the project running. They understood that, you know what, sometimes it doesn't get it doesn't prompt, so the software is not able to go through and do a map search. But because the reverse proxies in nature change in the back end, and the next proxy might actually show a result for that keyword, so they wanted to keep it running. So what we do down here, guys, is we have a Google Map retry, and you can have something like, you know, you can have this on like something like 150 or something. So it won't disable the project if it isn't found, because the way the system's coded is if your keyword isn't found in the top 10 of Google, or if it's map, obviously in the map snack pack, then after 3 consecutive tries, it's going to disable it. Okay, so we have this extra feature down here, guys, that allows you to give it a big retry attempt, based on the understanding and knowing that the reverse proxies are going to get a new proxy, and the next time it tries, that new proxy might actually show a result. So then, you know what, we're going to keep that retry in there. So yeah, this is how you can work with the retry section, guys, which is very, very important to keep in mind, especially if you're working with Google Maps. And the other thing to keep in mind, guys, is how to work with captures. So really, you don't want to work with the captures. Instead, invest in some nice proxies, guys. I'll be totally honest with you. If you want to get the best results from this, you are going to need proxies. But what this allows you to do is get access to your own proxies, invest in some proxies, and then use it as many times as you want for as many hits as you want. No credit-based system or anything like that. So yeah, anyway, I really hope you enjoy working with this, guys, and I thank you for